What's going on, guys? Today I'm making a Guardian Fighter build video. This is a DPS build, so let's just get started into it. First, we're going to start off with feats. What you want to choose on your Paragon path is Swordmaster. Iron Vanguard is completely useless to this. So what you want to do is put your first 3 feats into Strength Focus. This increases your effectiveness of Strength by 15%. Toughness, which increases your HP by 9%. Action Surge, this gives you action points when you're guarding. This is good in case you're done fighting and you need to guard so you don't die. Armor Specialization, this increases the effectiveness of armor class and defense by 15%. Powerful Attack, this increases your at will and encounter damage powers by 10%. And Weapon Mastery, which gives you a 3% crit chance. The first 5 feat points, once you unlock your Paragon points, are all on Conquer. All your points are going to Conquer. Well, not all of them, except 10. First 5 go to Take Measure. Other 5 goes to Wrathful Warrior. Then Jagged Blades, Staggering Challenge, Menacing Impact, Tactical Superiority, and Reckless Attacker. This gives you damage bonus when somebody attacks you. It increases your crit chance as well. You can read it if you want to. The rest of your points go to Plate Agility, or you can choose Armor of Baphomet, which I think is useless, so Plate Agility. Then Staying Power, which increases your encounter powers by 10% basically. That's what it means by mitigation to your encounter powers. Now the powers for AoE attacks, AoE fights, stuff like that, when you're fighting a bunch of mobs, trash mobs, etc., I would use Enforced Threat, Griffin's Wrath, Villain's Menace. Villain's Menace gives you a damage bonus. Enforced Threat is an AoE attack, which attacks multiple targets, and it also marks them, so you can get a damage bonus, which when you mark a target, you gain a damage debuff towards the target, which is right here. The damage distance will lower it, and you build twice as much threat. Which, this is why this build is basically for an end game character, so you can have better survivability and not really just get one shot at half the time. Griffin's Math is your bread and butter for single targeting, especially when you're fighting a boss. Anything else around here isn't really good enough for this viable build. Fighter's Recovery, in case you need to heal, you activate this and you just swing away and you restore all your HP back basically. Crushing Surge is basically an at-will that you use while you're doing a single target battle phase, just because the fact that it heals you, plus it does a lot of damage, as much as your encounters do as well, which is kind of crazy. Combat Superiority, this is basically simple. When your foe hits you, you deal 5% additional damage to them, and they deal 5% less to you. This goes all the way up to 8%, and it lasts forever basically, as long as you're blocking and somebody hits you. You have Weapon Master Strike. This is to activate your Staying Power. It basically is one of the best at-wills in the game for a Guardian Fighter, especially when you're DPS build. It's really useful, especially when you want to hit multiple targets. This is your at-will, your to-go at-will. Into the Fray. This gives you a 15% damage bonus and action point gain. It also increases your run speed as well, and recovers 15% of your stamina over time. Here's the damage bonus, goes all the way up to about 20% or so. The passives I use are Steel Grace, and it's all the way up here. Combat Superiority, obviously. Steel Grace just gives me that off the edge movement speed, crit chance, and deflection chance. Especially if you're missing half of this stuff, you would use this because of how useful it is. That's about it. Now for single target, it's pretty simple. You just put on Nice Challenge instead of Enforced Threat. And I'll show you how to actually use the encounters once we're done with this build. Now to character sheets, it's pretty obvious that the best races are, for a DPS Guardian Fighter, is a half orc or a Dragonborn. Half orc gives you 5% crit severity, and Dragonborn gives you a 3% crit chance and 3% power. But if you're capped out and obviously crit chance, I'm not crit chance, but crit severity, which goes up to 180, 185-ish, I think. There's really no point in having a half orc, so people would move on towards a Dragonborn just for that 3% more power, which is about a 1 point something percent more damage bonus, and so on and so forth. For mounts, I have Magistrate's Patience. Whenever you perform a critical strike, enemy targets will take psychic damage equal to 10% of your power over 4 seconds. This also heals your allies for 3% of their maximum hit points over 4 seconds. You have Slayer's Redemption. Whenever you kill a target, you are healed for 10% of your maximum hit points. This is great for when you're fighting trash mobs, etc. Survivor's Blessing. When you deflect a time, when you deflect an attack, sorry, I read pretty fast. You're healed for 3% of your maximum hit points over 4 seconds. Gladiator's Guile. I love Gladiator's Guile. If you're not using Gladiator's Guile, you're gonna be pretty slow. So use Gladiator's Guile. It gives you 15% movement speed bonus when you have over 75% stamina gain, and below 25%, you just have a increased stamina gain of 15%. And this is just here for refinement points. Usually, I wouldn't really switch it out for anything else. I don't really have anything else. I mean, I have Cavalry's Warning, which is used for my mount power. Oh, let me get in combat. Which basically this is used to give me 12% power, I think. Give me 1 second. Here it is. You're transformed into a virtual time machine. Time machine, obviously. Fighting machine, becoming stronger, tougher, faster, and more skilled in combat for 12 seconds. You gain 10% power and 10% movement speed. And you gain 2 plus 2 in strength, dexterity, and constitution and armor class. Equip power, I'd rather just have my 4K recovery because I'm not really interested in any other areas, so 4K recovery is best. This doesn't really matter. Now, companions, I'm still working on them. You know, it's not there yet. Never will be there because I don't really spend much money. But I have this companion for crit severity. This is just there. It helps me restore stamina. This is for the debuff. It gives you a 10% debuff towards the target once it uses a weapon master strike. It's right here. The final strike of Wicked Strike now shows 10% of the target's defense. I don't really use it all that much. I use it in my main companion, which is called a tulip, but it's a Leyland. It heals you and it keeps you really alive. Also has 3 offensive and 3 rings, which is really easy to fund, basically. This is just here because it's blue, 50% iron level. Gives me lifesteal as well, I guess. For weapons, I use the Stronghold set. Obviously, just because nowadays this is basically the best. Oops, sorry. This is the best end slot weapons. For armor enchantment, I don't really care what it is. It could be a negation or a shadow clan. Everyone has their own opinions. It could be a bark shield, whatever you want to choose. For weapon enchant, I use a Fey Touch. I use a Fey Touch enchantment, but in reality, you want to use a Vorpal, which gives you more crit severity. For your artifact set, which is your waist, your neck, and your main artifact, well, not your main artifact, but an artifact that gives you a bonus, you'd want to use the Orca set, which I still don't have yet because, like I said, still a work in progress character. This basically gives you a 20% damage bonus based on the target's HP compared to yours. So around 40 HP, you will get the full damage bonus, but the damage bonus starts proccing once they're below about 80%. Not the full 20, about 10 or 11% starts to proc. Which here's the set bonus if you want to read it yourself. This is still best in slot for any single target based damage, boss fights, etc. Now onto the boons. These are the guild boons that I use. I use power, defense, and mount speed bonus. We don't focus on PvP, I don't think so. Um, for Sharandar, I use Dark Fate Hunter, 400 power, Fate Precision, 400 crit strike instead of 400 deflect. Elven Haste, 3% more action point gain. Elven Furiosity, when striking full, you have a chance to deal up to 20,000 arcane damage. I feel like this only procs on one target, but I've seen it proc on multiple targets, which is pretty weird, but I don't know how it goes. Elvish Fury, when you kill a foe, you gain 135 power for 45 seconds. This stacks up to 30 times, which basically is about mad amounts of power, but in reality, you're not always going to kill 30 targets and still have this buff up enough. But this is at basically 4,050 power if you have the full stack. Oops. My controller's broken, sorry. For Dread Ring, you have Conjurer's Gambit, which is 250 crit and 250 movement. I'm missing crit, so I'd rather went for the crit than the power, even though this isn't really that much of a big difference in your crit or your power. Focus Thirst for 400 lifesteal. You need survivability in this build because you're basically a sitting duck because you're always pulling aggro. You're basically gonna get hit a lot. Forbidden Piercing, which gives you 3% resistance ignored on person's armor. Enraged Regrowth, when taking damage, you have a chance to heal up to 20,000 hit points over a few seconds. After this effect ends, you have 4,000 more defense. I'd rather use this over Shadow Touch because this is literally useless. It literally only procs on one target, and like only one target. And this is just beautiful. Rampaging Madness. When you deal damage, you gain a stack of Madness. Reach 50 stacks of Madness, you gain 4,000 power, 4,000 lifesteal, and 4,000 regen. The regen is useless, but the fact that you gain 4,000 power and 4,000 lifesteal is amazing. You gain 10% basically in both stats. You gain 10% more damage and 10% more lifesteal. Icewind Dale. Encroaching Tactics, you gain 400 combat advantage bonus. AoE resist is basically for, I'd say, a PvP build probably. Refreshing Chill, you gain 400 stamina gain. Sleet Skills, 2% crit severity. Cool Resolve, you gain up to 2,000 power based on how much stamina you're missing. I should have went for Cold Shoulder, but it doesn't really matter unless you're PvPing, so I just use Cool Resolve. The last boon I went for is Winter's Bounty. You gain 10% bonus action points when killing a target. Well, you have a chance. For Underdark, this is like I said, still work in progress character. So I went for Primordial Might, which is 400 power, 1600 maximum hit points. Primordial Focus, which is 400 crit strike instead of 400 lifesteal. I still rather have lifesteal over survivability because did I say 400 lifesteal? I still rather have 400 crit strike than 400 lifesteal because in reality I need to crit for this build to actually be useful. If you're not critting, there's no point in having crit severity, etc. Drow Ambush Tactics. This increases the combat advantage damage by 10%. So when you end Villain's Menace, etc., you gain 10% bonus damage. Here, I would probably go for regain stamina 5% faster, just so I can block and not lose my shield. And for here, I would go 10% against 10% bonus damage against demons, just because in the T9G now, etc., you need bonus damage for demons, especially since Orcus is just a colossal beast that takes forever to fucking kill. And I wasn't allowed to curse. Tyranny of Dragons, 400 power, 400 crit strike, 400 armor pen, 400 lifesteal rating. This is just a beautiful campaign all around, but it's just one of the most obnoxious campaigns to complete. Obviously you got split points, 2 into Dragon's Fury and 1 into 3% more lifesteal. The Maze Engine, I recently just finished this. 5% lifesteal severity, 400 combat advantage bonus, 3% more action point gain, and when striking a foe, you have a chance to gain up to 2,000 critical strike. This is used. I love this compared to anything else in here. This is probably the best, in my opinion, for any DPS. For Elemental Evil, I went for 300 power and 2,000 maximum hit points, 4% lifesteal severity and 2,000 maximum hit points, 400 crit strike, and Guild of Retribution, which basically gives you 24k hit points over a few seconds and 1,000 critical strike. Storm King's Thunder, 2% lifesteal severity and 1,000 maximum hit points, 400 stamina gain and 2% Everfrost resistance, and chance when attacking to gain up to 2,000 bonus damage on the next attack. For here, I would probably go Vengeful Heat instead of Glacial Strength. And here I would probably go for Chill of Winter. And that's about it, because the rest of these, and also Healing Potions, even though I don't use Healing Potions. Cloak Ascendancy, I'd probably use Aura of Hope. It boosts the AP gain for all allies within 25 feet for 10 seconds. Fury Frenzy, which gives you 2% crit severity and 1,000 maximum hit points. And Fey Briars, which gives you 500 lifesteal and 2,000 maximum hit points. For Chult, I don't do Chult. I hate Chult. After what happened to my characters, I can't be bothered going here doing this stuff. But if you do it, Tyrant's Terror, all maxed out, 1,000 power, beautiful. And these boons on the top are really useless, but I'd probably use Lingering Curse for a DPS build. You can read that yourself. I don't really feel like reading all of that. Sorry.